Callinex, as I mentioned, we're a zinc-focused junior exploration company trading under the symbol CNX. In terms of our history, we've been focused in the Flin Flon Belt of Manitoba, really dating back to kind of the late 1920s. And I think that gives a unique history in terms of what we have in the belt. We're one of the oldest publicly traded companies, was our predecessor, Callinex Mines. Significantly in 2004, the 777 mine began production, and the 777 mine was discovered in the early 90s, but it's really been one of the more significant VMS deposits, very high grade, very profitable within the Flin Flon Belt of Manitoba. That was actually discovered on claims that Callinex Mines, our predecessor, owned. So I think they had approximately a 6% NSR royalty on that, or a net profits royalty that yielded well over $100 million in profit. In 2011, they spun out the company into two components. There was Callinex Mines, which ultimately became Callinex Royalties, later acquired by Altius Minerals. And then we have Callinex Mines, which received the exploration portfolio that we have today. That was in 2011. In 2014, as Eric mentioned earlier, especially in the tough market conditions, we still felt that we need to return our focus to the Flin Flon area of Manitoba, focus on these high-grade VMS deposits within a prolific camp nearby existing infrastructure. So we did that. Fortunately, that's allowed us to complete a significant amount of drilling that's led to a discovery that we announced to the market 2 weeks ago. So in terms of a corporate overview, we closed Friday at 63 cents, so we've been performing well since we announced the initial discovery, which were approximately around 30 cents for it. The cash position of the company today is approximately $4 million. Once we announced our discovery hole, Eric, along with Sprott, it really caught their attention. We announced a financing with Sprott Asset Management within 7 days, and that'll be for $5 million. It should be closing within the next 2 weeks here. So our current cash position of approximately $4 million, plus what looks to be $5 million with our current financing, and we also have some warrants out at 45 cents with an early exercise provision on those. So it looks like in the near term here, on a pro forma basis, we're looking at a cash position of approximately 10 to 11 million. So that'll certainly help us as we move forward with our exploration activities. In addition to Sprott, one of our significant shareholders is Resource Capital Funds, which is a private hedge fund or a private equity fund based out of Denver. Our technical team, as we talk about the long history in Manitoba, our technical team is headed up by Mike Maslowski. Some of you may recall some of his previous successes, whether it's with Callinex, whether it's with Grangus, or several other companies. He's in the Canadian Mining Hall of Fame. He's been involved in the discovery of approximately 16 mines. Significantly to note, approximately 12 of these have occurred within the Flin Flon district where we're currently exploring. So he's had a very long history in the belt. He spent most of his career there and has been very successful in doing so. We have the same for Jim Piquel, who's our chief geologist. He was actually awarded the PDAC Bill Dennis Award for the discovery of 777 in the 1990s that was on Callinex claims. We also have Alan Vowles, who's our geophysicist and worked with Hud Bay and was involved in their Lawler mine discovery. So for those who may not be familiar in terms of VMS deposits or volcanogenic massive sulfides, essentially what they are is a black smoker. If you can picture it on the seafloor, it's a black smoker bringing fluids up, bringing out massive sulfide mineralization that tends to be quite high grade. So what this means typically for VMS deposits is that they're very concentrated. As soon as they hit the seawater, rapid cooling contains the mineralization in quite a small area. So that can sometimes make them tricky to find, but once you find them, and as long as you're looking for something with size, they can certainly be quite rewarding. In terms of the metal component, they're polymetallic. Specifically in the Flin Flon belt, is primarily copper, zinc with gold and silver. So we can kind of go through that in more detail. But the Flin Flon belt itself has had around 30 mines that have gone into production dating back to 1915. In terms of the breakdown of the size component, many of them have been under 10 million tons, but you have a few deposits that are very large, that have been over 20 million tons, and they kind of form a camp setting, and that's what we've been looking for. So you can see here in terms of the location, the town of Flin Flon is here with the 777 processing facility that's currently operating. There's less than 4 years of mine life left there, so I think there's certainly a need to fill those facilities. 16 kilometers away is our Pine Bay project, and that's where we made our most recent discovery. It's 30 kilometers by road. By contrast, right now, Hud Bay is shipping ore in not only from their 777 facility that's in Flin Flon, but also from 120 kilometers away from their Reed Lake mine. So that 16 kilometers is quite close and I would say strategic. So here's just a closer look at our Pine Bay project. Of particular note, you'll see that there's a black outline right around here, which is a mineral lease area. Because this is a small past producing mine site, this is essentially a mining license that's in place. So that's where our new discoveries occurred, within a mining license that is existing there. Strong infrastructure access with road, power, water, and you can see that on the map as well. So as we talk about this new discovery that we've made, I think it's significant to take a step back and kind of put this in context. Placer Dome, which was really the last company to conduct significant exploration on the property, conducted exploration in the early 90s, and they had a 30 million ton mandate, which is similar in size to a 777 type target, specifically at our project. And the reason for that was a large alteration zone at surface. Now typically, as we talk about how these VMS deposits form, you have an alteration zone that's below, massive sulfides above. In this case, they were able to see the alteration zone because everything's turned over on its side. So that's why they were able to really have a geological basis for a significant mineral endowment there. So what they did is they drilled mostly around the 500 meter level mark for depth, and they drilled one hole that was deeper, and it went down to approximately 800 meters. That was the final drill hole that they drilled. We completed a significant amount of drilling over the last couple of years that gave us a better orientation of the structures there. And as a result, we looked back at our database, we saw this hole, and we thought that we needed to extend it. We re-entered the Placer Dome hole, extended it 38 meters, and intersected 10.3 meters of massive sulfide mineralization, grading approximately 13% zinc equivalent. There's contained within that 13%, there's 6% zinc, 1.8 grams per ton gold, 60 grams per ton silver, 0.7% copper, and 0.35% lead. So while the result, certainly the first hole in that area produced very significant results, one of the things that we particularly noticed with this hole as well, based on the metal zoning, as you'll see in these VMS deposits, certain metals drop off in different parts of the system, and typically towards the edges of the system, it's more zinc rich, whereas you get into the core or the vent of the activity, it's much more copper rich. The intersection that we had with 6% zinc and 0.7% zinc is very different from many other, the average of deposits in the belt. Most of them are copper rich with the zinc as a secondary component. So that combined, again, with that overturned nature of the geology that we see out there is indicating to us that we're at the edges of a system with the first hole that we intersected, and then the vector should be at depth. And to note as well, in terms of significance, this hole intersected the most significant precious metals mineralization out of 625 holes that have been completed over 80 years of exploration at the project. So we think certainly a very special hole, but for us it's the larger context that the hole was made within, which is this large geological package, the lack of drilling around it, and everything that indicates that we're on the edge of it as well, despite the very strong mineralization. So this just shows you in a plan map, you'll see in the white hatched area, there's the alteration zone. It's approximately 1.1 kilometers long, up to 700 meters wide. And again, it's overturned, facing, it will be to the left there, where there's a series of stacked VMS horizons. Each one of those horizons hosts mineralization, and it's in particular in the red one in the middle, the cabin zone horizon. You can see This was our discovery hole that we extended there. It's right in the midst of that alteration zone. And again, if you can kind of picture it overturned in 3D, it'll help with that regards. So we've announced the 10,000 meter step out drilling program that's currently underway right now. We're just in the process of drilling the first hole. Plans to have that completed before the end of winter. And we think that that's certainly going to give us a very good idea in terms of being able to follow up with more exploration and also get a re-rating on the stock as we're able to intersect additional mineralization as we have designed. So in terms of an investment summary, just to recap, we're focused in a very prolific belt in the Flin Flon Belt of Manitoba, where Hud Bay is running out of ore with less than 4 years of mine left at their 777 mine. We've announced a new high-grade discovery that the grade and thickness, well, it's higher grade and it's thicker, this one particular hole, and obviously we'll need to do more drilling to expand that. But the grade's thicker, or sorry, the thickness is greater than the average of 777, and the grade as well. So we're encouraged that we know that the grade works out well to define the size potential, but we certainly feel that it's very exciting for the potential that we have ahead of us at this stage today. Our technical team's been here, done this before. They've actually been involved in discovering 3 of the 4 largest mines within the camp. And I mean, they each have over 40 years of experience, so we're certainly in very capable hands. And lastly, the Treasury is well funded for continued exploration as we continue to chase this target and outline additional mineralization. The program that I mentioned is approximately $2 million budget, and as mentioned earlier, on a pro forma basis with the completion of this financing and warrant proceeds, we're looking at cash position anywhere between 9 and 11 million. So we certainly hope for good times ahead, and we're well positioned to succeed for it. So thank you.